The headlines came fast. The damage came faster. Meghan Markle has allegedly collapsed behind closed doors, emotionally, maybe even physically, after a whistleblower from inside her charity circle dropped a confession that blew everything wide open. The Sussexes' carefully crafted image of compassion and charity was reportedly torn apart in minutes. And the source of the damage?
So much fun.
You and I are so similar. You and I...
With your guests, when was the last time you were surprised and delighted?
Last night, and also this morning, but last night when I went back to my hotel, and then you put your thumbprint in, which is what makes it a fun group activity, and you could fill it with jam, you could do chocolate, anything you like, of course.
This series, and they'll believe it. They'll believe the smears about Britain and our monarchy, that we're a bunch of bigoted and hateful people. They even blamed Brexit for the racism which apparently was aimed at Meghan Markle, which is just completely absurd. But by far the most sickening part of this show for me was the constant use of Harry's...
A woman once handpicked by Prince Harry himself, a respected professional, a black woman at the top of her field, now calling the Sussex-led charity ecosystem toxic, abusive, and built on a crumbling foundation of ego, manipulation, and control. This wasn't a quiet exit. This was a detonation. Staff have resigned. Donors have allegedly disappeared. The UK Charity Commission is now reportedly circling. And Meghan? According to insiders, she was so overwhelmed by the fallout. She broke down completely. This isn't just a scandal. It's the kind of collapse you don't come back from. It began at a polo match, April 2024. A charity event meant to spotlight Senebale, Prince Harry's longtime passion project for children affected by HIV in southern Africa.
I don't know about you, but I grew up with South Park, and nothing in their sites has ever been sacred. And they do have this, in my view, perfectly irreverent way of reading the room. This week they've taken a swipe at Harry and Meghan, and it's gone.
It's about an hour-long cab ride, never seen as grandchildren. This show is packed with a kind of spurious claims and hypocrisy that have become the Sussex signature. We learned they began making videos about their heroic journey 6 months before their Netflix deal was even announced, and right at the start of a pandemic that was killing...
Oh my gosh, I worked so hard.
Meghan was there. Prince Harry was front and center. And so was Dr. Sophie Shandaka, the chair of Senebale's board at the time. What should have been a moment of unity turned awkward, fast. Video footage from the event went viral across social media. In it, Meghan appears to physically redirect Dr. Shandaka during a photo op. Some saw it as a minor moment. Others saw a power play. But behind the scenes, insiders now say it was the first visible crack in a relationship that had already been poisoned. Shandaka was reportedly livid. Sources close to the charity claim she had been sidelined repeatedly in favor of Sussex-aligned PR handlers.
Proud to, if you excuse the massive book deals, the Silicon Valley startups, the preaching videos about well-being, the podcasts, the speeches, and the major network interviews with everyone from Oprah Winfrey to James Corden. But they've barely been seen or heard at all, have they? Well, on Thursday, they'll quietly and apologetically release their $100 million.
If we're going to use the word betrayal, it's because when I asked him, which is also a really key point in all this, they don't report the news, they create the news.
The royals owe me. Harry owes me. Meghan owes me. What I've been through, I should be rewarded for.
She spreads her legs, she hikes her dress, circles her genitals.
Her role as chair had allegedly been reduced to that of a photo prop, trotted out when convenient, dismissed when not. And that moment, the viral one, it wasn't just a fluke. It was the fuse. Because just weeks later, she walked away. And didn't go quietly. Dr. Sophie Shandaka wasn't just another charity figure. She was the most senior Black woman in Senebale's leadership structure, a globally respected legal and philanthropic strategist. And she had had enough. In her official resignation, Shandaka dropped bombshell after bombshell. She labeled the Sussex-led environment toxic.
Before we even get to the main event.
When the stakes are this high, doesn't it make more sense to hear our story from us?
Oh, shut up. What do you mean the stakes are this high? Who do you think you are? Other than a latte-munching imbecile.
Meghan Markle, she may have stepped down from royal duties more than 5 years ago, but she keeps taking aim at the monarchy. The Duchess of Sussex has made reportedly at least half a dozen swipes at the royal family this year, and it's only June.
As ever, her new company, the very first thing she said was, look, you know, when I had the TIG, which was her previous lifestyle website, you know, I loved cooking and I loved gardening and being a hostess, and that she basically said I had to keep my light under a bushel at this time because of the royal family. Then we get her show, her Netflix show.
Back of your head. This gruesome twosome only survived by cashing in on what's left of their royal status now. I said it before, I'll say it again tonight. King Charles should strip them of all their remaining titles and cast them out from any connection to the royal family. How could any of them trust them, as far as I could throw them? Because without it, they're just whining millennial windbags.
She called out Prince Harry's behavior. She criticized the internal culture of control, paranoia, and ego. And she made one thing clear. Senabale was not supposed to be an extension of the Sussex brand. The Sussexes, she alleged, were turning a charity for African children into a palace of PR, one where cameras mattered more than impact, and Meghan's image took priority over community work. Her statements were surgical, brutal, and, insiders say, backed by documentation. Emails, notes, timelines, internal communications, all allegedly turned over to legal teams and potentially to regulators.
She talks like she's a one-woman band. That is not hard work. Hard work is get up in the morning, get to 7 o'clock, get into a factory or a shop and working for 10 hours on your feet, coming home knackered. That's not what happens to her.
And still being a mom.
That is
still
not
being
what
a
happens to
mom.
her.
Favourite little niece, Ashley. Meghan also sees she got no advice on royal protocol, forcing her to learn how to be a princess all on her own.
Joining this family, I knew that there was a protocol for how things were done. There's no class in some person who goes sit like this.
We want privacy! We want privacy! Thanks for having us on the show. It's so awesome to be here. It's great. So let me start with you, Sam. You've lived a life with the royal family, you've had everything handed to you, but you say your life has been hard, and now you've written all about it.
Funny, I actually watched the entire episode and I was howling laughing. I thought it was brilliant. I mean, I think it really encapsulates how many Americans are feeling. The episode was very clever in the sense that they call them in the time since, in the years since, they've done everything to prove the opposite. You know, they can't seem to get enough of media attention. I don't think people understand even Harry's book that's been released is part of a multi-book deal, right? You know, how many people leave their family and record themselves on the plane the entire...
And while Harry stayed silent, Meghan reportedly didn't handle it well. Dr. Sophie Shandaka's statement didn't hold back, but it also didn't sound exaggerated. She described a work culture that had grown increasingly strained under the Sussexes' leadership. According to her, key decisions were made behind closed doors, and team dynamics were repeatedly disrupted by overreach from the top. Internal sources say that changes to meeting agendas were frequent and unpredictable. Staff reportedly received late-night emails about messaging changes. In one instance, a campaign that was originally meant to spotlight a Senabale initiative allegedly had to be revised to include Meghan's image and quotes before it could move forward. Some team members felt direction shifted too often and that approvals were inconsistent. An anonymous team member noted it had become more about managing optics than doing the actual work.
Press show her wearing pretty much every colour in the rainbow. The show opens with the claim that the royal family declined to comment on the series. That's another lie. The palace says it received one email from an unknown company and attempts to verify it.
Hello all. Sorry we're late. Our flight was delayed.
It was mint though. Tell them we were in mint. They gave you a mint. How lovely. I have some gum in my purse if you'd like. Oh, we were in mint. It's like their business class. It's really nice. And
Meghan, I'm begging you to stop now.
This also follows all the stories about her bullying staff over here in the UK, which is unresolved. You know, NDAs stopped all that stuff coming out, but she bullied people in a very unpleasant way over here.
Over time, several junior employees stepped away quietly. A communications lead left the organization altogether. People who once felt energized by the mission allegedly began feeling confused and disconnected from it. Dr. Shandaka, who had joined to make a difference, now says her values no longer aligned with the way Senabale was being managed. Her decision to speak up was not a personal attack. It was, in her view, a call to restore the original mission. And once she said her piece, the departures began. After Dr. Shandoka's public resignation and remarks, Sentebale's leadership began unraveling. Prince Harry reportedly stepped down from his leadership position shortly after. Prince Siso, co-founder of the charity, followed soon after. Several other board members quietly resigned or declined to extend their roles. From the outside, the wave of exits seemed sudden. But internal sources suggest this was a response to deeper organizational issues, particularly concern over decision-making and transparency.
But they made a big fuss. So she said, all right, well, I noticed and others noticed that her mother didn't look happy being there. She did come, but she did look a bit fed up and cross. And someone told me that actually what the problem is that she didn't want her mother to speak because she's told so many lies. Her mother won't agree with them and she will correct her. So she couldn't risk it.
This woman is a born manipulator. The Netflix thing, she doesn't do the work. She doesn't make the jams. It's all made for her.
What matters is what we have on the inside.
According to documents leaked by insiders, several board members had raised flags over the direction of the charity as early as late 2023. The concern was not just about public image. It was about how decisions were being made, what was being prioritized, and who was being heard. As news broke, the UK Charity Commission reportedly began reviewing the organization's leadership structure and governance practices. Though no formal findings have been released yet, the Commission's involvement has only fueled speculation. With leadership in flux, meetings reportedly shifted from planning charity initiatives to managing internal reviews. Donor confidence appeared to slip. Internal morale took a hit. Staff members described the atmosphere as quiet, on edge, and deeply uncertain. And in the midst of it all, Meghan received the statement that would bring everything to a halt. Insiders claim that Meghan was deeply affected by the release of Dr. Shandoka's full statement. One staff member described her reaction as a moment of complete overwhelm, emotional, private, and serious. After reading the statement, Meghan allegedly canceled all scheduled meetings and stepped away from public-facing duties for several days. Archewell insiders describe an atmosphere of stillness, where even the usual pace of calls and Slack messages seemed to stop. She needed time, one source said. It was a personal and professional shock. Harry, meanwhile, reportedly remained by her side, but said very little. One insider said the couple had underestimated how serious the fallout might become and were now realizing the full weight of the situation. For Meghan, this wasn't just a leadership issue. This was a personal break in trust with someone who had once been positioned close to the Sussex brand. And inside Archewell, the mood quickly shifted from reaction to response. With the story gaining traction and questions swirling, Archewell's internal team moved quickly to contain the narrative. PR teams began drafting official responses, while legal advisors reportedly reviewed prior agreements, including confidentiality terms and past communications. Internally, the messaging focused on protecting the mission and avoiding escalation. The first draft of a public statement was reportedly rejected by Meghan herself. She wanted the message to reflect her continued support for Sentebale, but also to distance herself from any sense of wrongdoing. Advisors, however, urged a softer tone. At least one junior team member resigned during this period, according to one insider, citing internal changes and a desire to step away from the spotlight. After several rounds of edits, a brief, neutral statement was posted online. It offered appreciation for the work of Sentebale, acknowledged the importance of strong leadership, and reiterated Archewell's continued commitment to charitable partnerships. But notably, it avoided addressing the specifics of what had led to the recent exits. Behind closed doors, the team knew they hadn't put the story to rest. They had only paused the narrative, barely. And as they scrambled to regain control, another problem began to grow: the money. As the story spread and headlines mounted, the financial ripple effects reportedly hit Archewell hard. According to sources close to the foundation's fundraising team, several high-value donors allegedly paused contributions within 48 hours of Drive Shandaka's statement going public. One prominent supporter reportedly requested a full review of where their previous donations had gone. Another is rumored to have privately expressed regret, saying they felt misled by the brand, not the mission. These weren't casual donors. These were cornerstone supporters, the types that anchor six-figure funding drives, underwrite staff salaries, and keep large-scale programs alive. Internal reports allegedly showed that Q1 projections for 2025 fell short by nearly 40% following the wave of resignations. At least 2 upcoming Archewell campaigns, one focused on mental health resources and the other on digital safety, were reportedly scaled back or shelved altogether. The foundation's leadership, already stretched thin, was now faced with a question far more existential than PR. How do you fund a mission if trust has eroded? And just as Archewell braced for further instability, another wave of attention was building, this time from an entirely different world. From Buckingham Palace? Silence. No formal statement. No veiled reference. Just polished calm. But palace insiders weren't as reserved. One source close to Prince William reportedly told a UK tabloid they made their bed. Now they're lying in it. Another aide, formerly tied to the late Queen's staff, commented anonymously that it was only a matter of time before private agendas clashed with public service. Even figures outside the palace, but still within aristocratic and royal circles, have allegedly begun distancing themselves. A high society charity gala in London reportedly removed the Sussexes from its honorary guest list. Invitations, once extended without hesitation, are now being reconsidered. Royal watchers and analysts say this moment may mark a silent severing. Not a statement, not a press release, just a quiet, permanent removal of association. One that hurts more than words ever could. But in the world of Hollywood and media, that silence was interpreted as something worse, a signal. In Los Angeles, the fallout didn't go unnoticed. According to entertainment insiders, Meghan's name, once a golden ticket in boardrooms, has allegedly become synonymous with unpredictability. A streaming executive who had been considering a podcast collaboration is rumored to have pulled out just days after the Whistleblower's story made rounds in private group chats. Another producer reportedly described her as too reactive, while a PR consultant connected to a major platform said, "You can't pitch authenticity when everyone's questioning your foundation." Netflix, already strained after ending its partnership with the Sussexes, has allegedly gone completely dark. A children's project rumored to be in early development was quietly scrapped. One agent put it plainly, they're not untouchable anymore. They're unpredictable. And in an industry built on perception, that distinction is everything. With donors stepping back, media circles pulling away, and Centibale in freefall, insiders say the Sussexes are now reevaluating everything. There are whispers that Archewell may be restructured, or even fully rebranded. Some staff have reportedly suggested pivoting entirely to private consulting or behind-the-scenes philanthropy, removing Harry and Meghan from the front lines of public campaigning. Others say the couple is weighing whether Archewell should quietly sunset, allowing them to step away from the scrutiny and try to salvage what's left of their personal reputations. One source close to the foundation said, this was supposed to be their legacy, their life's work. Now, it's something they might have to walk away from just to survive. It's a brutal realization. But in the world of nonprofit credibility and media trust, sometimes there's no reboot, just retreat. And behind all of it, the one moment that sparked the storm remains frozen in time. A quiet photo op, a redirected leader, and the truth no one expected to come out. What started as a silent video clip at a polo match ended in a confession powerful enough to shake an entire brand to its core. One insider spoke up, one chair stepped down, and one woman, who built an empire on compassion, image, and careful control, now stands accused of leading something very different than what the world believed. Meghan Markle didn't just face criticism. She faced accountability. And according to those closest to her, she couldn't take it. The real question now isn't whether Archewell survives. It's whether Meghan and Harry ever regain the one thing money can't buy, credibility. Because once trust breaks in public, sometimes the only sound louder than the truth is the silence that follows.